Earlier today, you announced new measures to crack down on fraud, and that included mandatory minimum sentences for certain offenses. So, for example, you've 1 year jail sentence for fraud over $5,000, 3 years for fraud over $100,000, 5 years for fraud over $1 million, and minimum fines of 10 times the amount defrauded was just some of what you announced. For you, is this a matter of deterrence, or is it out of a concern that judges are far too lenient on criminals charged with such offenses?
Well, I wouldn't blame judges. I think that we have weak laws right now, so they are they are interpreting those laws and applying them, and the very serious fraudsters are getting a slap on the wrist. They're back on the street, and they're doing bigger and more sophisticated frauds. So we need to give judges the power to throw these guys in the slammer for a longer time, make them pay massive fines, and crack down on what is a growing phenomenon of people using extremely sophisticated technological scams that target well-meaning, honest, good-hearted seniors. In fact, they're taking precisely the advantage of the seniors' altruism. And those fraudsters should go to the slammer. They should pay crippling, life-changing fines that will bankrupt them completely and deter this kind of horrible offense.
So here's the thing. See, a close family member of mine recently fell victim to the grandparent scam, where that person even used AI to mimic my cousin's voice. She fainted and hit her head because of the stress of all of it while it was happening. It was horrible. But herein lies part of the problem when it comes to fraud, because that fraudster might have been sitting in a call center somewhere in India or in Nigeria or in Eastern Europe. So as Prime Minister, how would you address the jurisdictional challenges that are posed by offshore operations?
Well, I'm sorry that your family went through that. These cases are just mind-blowing. We have a case in Canada as well of a mother who got a call from what she thought was her son. He claimed the voice claimed that he was in jail and he needed a bail money. So you can imagine how absolutely horrifying that would be to get a call from someone you think is your son saying he's in jail and he needs bail. And she handed over her financial information, and it turned out it was an AI replication of his voice, and she lost a fortune. So your question, though, is what do we do about overseas fraudsters? Well, what I concluded in my plan was a legal requirement for banks and telecoms to immediately interrupt suspicious transactions and call volumes. So, for example, in the case of telecoms, they would have to bring in detections that can intercept and determine when people are being targeted with these type of frauds, so they can stop the voice over internet protocol numbers. They can interrupt the calls coming in, so they never actually make it to the recipient. The banks will also be required to put in special protections for seniors' bank transfers, and for other people who will then be able to call the bank and say, listen, I'm worried that one day I could be defrauded. Can you please put a 24-hour hold on anything that goes out of my account in large sums? So it will be about giving legal requirements for telecoms and banks to protect their customers against these types of frauds, no matter where they originate.
Just last question on this topic. I'll give you another example. Last week I heard a story. A friend had a check stolen from her home. It was cashed in the amount of $8,500 as well as some jewelry. She filed a report, Pierre, because she knew the offender. An officer came to her house and he said to her, look, court backlogs are a significant issue in the Canadian justice system. She's a first-time offender, and so the likelihood of this person receiving a conviction is very small. She'll get off. Don't bother. And so my point is like victims, they're dissuaded from seeking justice. And I can tell you for CART members and for seniors, the no light at the end of the tunnel can be very disempowering.
And a lot of seniors tell me that they're afraid. They feel they can't go outside anymore. They can't do the evening walk they used to love to do with their dog. They're worried their car won't be in the driveway in the morning because of car theft. This is entirely avoidable. It is the result of liberal laws that allow repeat offenders out of prison within literally hours of their latest arrest. And that's why we've seen such a massive increase in crime under the Liberals. We can't give them a fourth term. We need a change to crack down on crime with serious, tough prison time and secure borders. That is how we're going to bring home the safety that we used to know in this country.